Preventing contract disputes in real estate transactions. Throughout this course, we have examined how contracts are formed, how they may be discharged, and what legal remedies may apply when breaches occur. While understanding breach and remedies is essential, the most effective strategy in real estate practice is preventing disputes before they arise. Real estate transactions involve multiple parties, strict deadlines, and detailed legal obligations. Miscommunication, incomplete documentation, or unclear contract terms can quickly lead to disagreements that delay or derail a transaction. By focusing on clear communication, accurate documentation, and careful contract drafting, real estate professionals can significantly reduce the likelihood of disputes. In Arizona, licensees are required to exercise reasonable care and diligence when assisting clients in real estate transactions under AAC R428-1101. This professional duty includes ensuring that contracts are clearly written, properly executed, and fully understood by the parties involved. Clear communication in transactions. One of the most effective ways to prevent contract disputes is through clear and consistent communication between all parties involved in the transaction. Buyers, sellers, agents, lenders, and escrow officers must remain informed throughout the process in order to avoid misunderstandings. Communication problems often arise when important details are discussed verbally but not documented. For example, a buyer and seller may verbally agree to extend the closing date, but if the change is not documented in writing, the original contract terms may still apply. This can lead to disputes if one party later claims that the extension was never properly approved. Real estate professionals should ensure that all significant discussions regarding the transaction are documented in writing, whether through contract amendments, addenda, or written communication between the parties. Clear communication helps establish a shared understanding of the agreement and reduces the likelihood of conflict. Importance of written agreements. Real estate contracts must generally be in writing to be enforceable under the Statute of Frauds, which is codified in Arizona under ARS, paragraph 44-101. This legal requirement exists to prevent disputes by ensuring that the terms of important agreements are clearly documented. Written contracts provide evidence of the obligations and expectations of each party. They define the purchase price, closing date, contingencies, and other important transaction details. Without written documentation, it becomes extremely difficult to determine what the parties actually agreed upon. In modern real estate practice, written agreements often include electronic signatures and digital transaction records, which are legally recognized under Arizona law. Electronic documentation has become a standard part of the transaction process and provides efficient record-keeping for both brokers and clients. Spousal signatures and community property issues. Arizona is a community property state, which means that property acquired during a marriage is generally considered jointly owned by both spouses. Because of this legal structure, certain real estate transactions may require the signatures of both spouses, even if only one spouse is listed as the owner on the title. Failure to obtain the appropriate spousal signatures can create serious legal problems and may prevent the transaction from closing. For example, if one spouse attempts to sell a property that is considered community property without the consent of the other spouse, the transfer may be challenged or invalidated. Arizona community property laws are governed by ARS, paragraph 25-111, which outlines how marital property is classified and managed. Real estate professionals must be attentive to ownership issues and ensure that all necessary parties have properly authorized the transaction. Precision in contract language. Clear and precise language is essential in contract drafting. Ambiguous or vague wording can create confusion about the rights and obligations of the parties involved. When contract language is unclear, courts may be required to interpret the agreement, which can lead to outcomes that differ from the original intentions of the parties. For example, a contract that states a closing will occur on or about a specific date may create uncertainty regarding the exact deadline for performance. Similarly, vague descriptions of repair obligations may lead to disagreements about what work must be completed before closing. Real estate professionals should carefully review contract language to ensure that deadlines, responsibilities, and expectations are clearly defined. Precision in contract drafting helps prevent disputes and promotes smoother transactions. Risk reduction through documentation. Proper documentation is one of the most powerful tools for reducing risk in real estate transactions. Written records provide evidence of what occurred during the transaction and help demonstrate that the parties followed the contract terms. Documentation may include signed contracts, amendments, inspection reports, communication records, and transaction timelines. These records help protect both clients and licensees if questions arise about the transaction at a later date. Arizona law also requires brokers to maintain transaction records under ARS, paragraph 32.2151.01, which mandates that brokers retain documentation related to real estate transactions. Maintaining organized transaction files ensures compliance with regulatory requirements and provides protection in the event of disputes or audits. Online discussion 1. Question: why is written documentation essential in real estate transactions? Answer: written documentation clearly records the terms of the agreement and provides evidence of the parties' intentions. This helps prevent misunderstandings and allows courts to determine the terms of the contract if a dispute arises. 2. Question: how can unclear contract language lead to disputes between buyers and sellers? Answer: ambiguous wording may cause the parties to interpret the contract differently. When responsibilities or deadlines are not clearly defined, disagreements may occur about what actions are required under the agreement. 3. Question: why is it important to obtain the signatures of both spouses in certain real estate transactions in Arizona? Answer: because Arizona is a community property state, property acquired during marriage may be jointly owned by both spouses. If both spouses do not consent to the transaction when required, the transfer of property may be challenged or considered invalid.